All right, we're live. We're doing a little nooner, as it is the start of conference championship weekend, and I know there's a little baseball out there and WNBA and all that jazz. So
Second round of the NHL playoffs starts tonight.
here we go. Yep. So we got it going. We got the chat going. If you guys get any questions, but I think the biggest story in sports is the Boston Celtics right now. That could be debated, but they play the Miami Heat. They're favorites to win the series, which we discussed over the weekend. I didn't realize it would go from 160 to 180, but a lot of love on the Celtics right now. And, there is that guy, Jimmy Butler. Tonight, though, the line -2 Heat. We'll get into the ref angle in a minute, but do you know the status of Robert Williams or Marcus Smart for this one? And if they both play, will that change the line?
So Robert Williams is in. He's off the injury report. It sounds like he's a full go. It sounds like he was pretty much without pain on Sunday, but they decided to be careful with him. I know that that's an interesting concept with your season on the line, but that's what they decided to do, and it paid off, obviously. I would say that Smart probably doesn't play tonight. If I had to guess, I don't have any information, but if I had to guess on it, I'd say probably not. And basically the reason of that being is that this, to me, is an awful spot for the Celtics, coming off a major emotional win on Sunday and then go flying to Miami and then taking on the Heat, who have had, 3, 4, 5 days rest now and are probably, Kyle Lowry obviously still banged up, but the rest of that team, whatever bruises they had, have probably healed. So I think, to me, and I know that this sucks, but I do think that this is a really good spot for Miami. If you look at the market right now, you are going to see some interesting factors. This line opened -2. It went down to -1.5 yesterday. There was definitely an influx of Boston Celtics money coming in, but that has been replaced, and Miami Heat money is coming in pretty rapidly on the spread and the money line right now. Just to give you an idea of where things are with the percentages, the Celtics have 37% of the spread bet, meaning +2 or +1.5, depending on what it is, and 20% of the money. But they do have 53% of the money line bet, just 14% of the money line money. So what you're seeing is a sharp buy on the money line with the Miami Heat. Sharps are buying in on Miami. In terms of the money line bet for Miami, 47% of the bet, but 86% of the money. So you're definitely seeing a sharp buy on Miami. And again, it's just the angle. It's just the fact that this is not a great spot for the Celtics. It doesn't have anything to do with the series. Now, I'll tell you this. I have taken some Celtics Warriors series parlay and also just finals result. So you can instead of doing a money line parlay, some places won't let you parlay series. It'll be like finals result. So it'll be like Celtics versus Warriors, +120, +125, whatever. So I've taken some of that, which is the same thing. But I am waiting. I do not believe the Celtics are going to win tonight. I think they're going to lose game one. And I'm waiting to get a good number on the series price. Now, it's a gamble. If the Celtics win tonight, that series price is going to go from 170, 180 to 240, 300. Sorry, to 280, 300, excuse me. That's going to be a major jump because Boston will have taken home court in game one. I don't think this is a great spot for Boston. If I was betting on it, I would bet Miami. I probably am going to take Miami money line -120, -125 is still out there at certain places. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up being on, but I'm not in a rush to take it. Also, the total very sharp on the under, open 206.5 back down to 204. These are two teams. I mean, Miami defends the 3-point line just as well as Boston. They were the two best teams depending on the 3-point line in the entire league. You're not going to see Boston shooting 25, 33s, a night at this point. You're probably going to see a lot less and see them go inside of Miami, which is the opposite of what they did with Milwaukee. So to me, look, I still think Boston wins the series. I don't think Miami has quite enough. Obviously, we can break it down. Tyler Hero has not been great in the playoffs. He was better last series against Philly, but Philly does not defend the perimeter well, so that's not exactly a surprise. Boston does, and obviously what he did against Boston in the bubble, they probably don't forget that. I don't love Miami's gonna have to bully them inside again, and we just saw the Celtics take care of Brooke Lopez, Bobby Portis, and Giannis Antetokounmpo inside. So to me, that is not a good sign for Miami. It doesn't bode well. I don't feel that they're going to be able to score enough in this series. They'll have to shoot the lights out to be Boston, in my opinion. So we'll see. I think Boston has a very, very good chance of winning. I just don't like them tonight. Joe, your thoughts?
I like the point that you made about, why take the Celtics right now if it's 160 or 180 when they could be shorthanded tonight? And technically, if they lose game one after, the series being over with Milwaukee, maybe you wait and see what happens in game one. And if they lose, you'll get them at a better price in game two if you still like them. So for the people betting the series, there might not be value at minus 180. I mean, it depends on who, if you're putting it depends on what you are, but I just feel like 180 is a high price. I'd wait until game one. If they lose, it's going to come way down.
Yeah, I would expect that price plus 110, even money ish.
So that's why it's worth waiting if you ask me.
Right. Again, the opener was minus 155, minus 160, depending on the book. So you'll probably see a dip of 60 to 55 cents again, because this is a game Miami is expected to win. They're expected to win a home game. Again, I think it's a really good spot for them, just in general. Like personally, in terms of spot bets, I will say it is interesting that we're seeing such a large amount of money on the Heat spread, but such a large amount of tickets on the Celtics money line. Again, the sharps have come in and taken the Heat money line on this one. As I said, we are now seeing -2, -115 pop across the screen. Bet online, Bovada, both just moved to -2, -115 on Miami. So, the money line's up to -130, -135 there. You are going to see some movement there. Again, I do think this is going to be a game that I don't expect Boston to win tonight. I don't. I just think this is a really tough ask for them to come back and play the way they have in the last couple of games.
The only thing I'll look at is that when the Celtics are an underdog, they've won of late. That's if you want to chase that. That's an angle. It's not, we know about the afternoon angle, Dan. The morning angle. We learned that one over the weekend just because it's a hunch. Hey, remember the score of the first goal was a hunch. None of them were profitable. So it's just, here. I mean, looking at the series though, and BetMGM has right now tickets and handle. Celtics 165, now 185. 81% of the handles on Boston to win the series.
Yeah.
So again, to me, I'm not touching the series until tonight after the game. I don't like the Heat in the series, by the way. I'm actually all Celtics. They're favored. There's all these numbers we can get into later about MVP of the finals, the MVP matchup look ahead that you got into in a minute here, but I think the Celtics are the best team in the East, and I'll just use the analogy of the receipt. They receipt the Nets. They've now given a receipt to the Bucks, and this is the team, the Heat, that I thought they were better than, Dan, a couple of years ago. I did think they were better.
I know. We will forever disagree on that.
I think that they had more talent. Like I do. Like I think.
I think that's a cop out for the Celtics. I think Miami was really, really good, and people.
They deserve the credit, and I think Jimmy Butler obviously elevated. I'm just saying, I think now they are the better team. Like
I agree.
Now they are like this. And they were in a bubble, and I honestly think the block on Jason Tatum by Bam Adebayo, like, kind of set them back. Like there was a time where Tatum wasn't going to you look at his free throw numbers, you're like, what the hell, dude? So I don't know if that was like a significant thing in his development or whatnot, or for the Celtics development, but they're better now. They are. I think they should win this series. The one thing that scares the shit out of me in this series is damn Duncan Robinson. The guy can't defend, right? Like we heard Patrick Beverley go on television yesterday. He called Chris Paul a cone. Then what's Duncan Robinson? This dude can play because of all the injuries they have. No Kyle Lowry. This dude Vincent's hurt. He might start.
Yeah, Vincent. Yeah,
they're hurt though. They like Oladipo is healthy, and I don't know. Like, could there be an Oladipo Duncan Robinson pairing that he could get hot? You know what I'm saying? Just by playing, he's not even going to play. He's a guy that they've actually had trouble defending in the past. I if they're going with what they're going with, I like what the Celtics are doing. I just fear that they could get somebody besides Butler to get going, or Adebayo, that for that matter. But I don't know. I feel like they have pretty good options for Adebayo right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, if Robert Williams is healthy, I think they have great options, as you kind of just spoke about. And again, like Duncan Robinson really hasn't played much at all. They pretty much replaced him with Max Strus, and he has been the guy. He can spread the floor. He's a bigger guy, has some length, can actually defend, unlike Robinson. So he has been the preference of choice. Now, will Spoelstra make adjustments throughout the series? We'll probably see Robinson at some point. He will give Miami a little bit more of a threat on the perimeter than Strus. And with Lowry out, you're probably going to see, a group of guys there. Lowry just didn't look effective when he did play, at all. And I got to be honest, yeah, Lowry since midseason has been on a slow decline. And if you look at the stats, it has not been great on what he's been able to do. The one thing he can still provide is defense. And I do wonder if because Lowry is out, they hold Marcus Smart out today. Just kind of offset that, because I do feel that that's a certain situation. But again, let's not forget Boston and Miami were tied for the best 3-point defending teams in the league in terms of percentage, percentage against. And this is going to, both these teams are going to be teams that are going to close out on three. So it's going to be who can score more, who can be the better team inside. And I got to be honest with you, with the emergence of Robert Williams, if he is healthy, and he is going to be such a key factor in this series, I just think that Boston has a major edge there. Look what they just did to Giannis. Now, Giannis absolutely got his inside. And, look, there were times there Bobby Portis had big moments, obviously. Not obviously game 5, excuse me. Major moment for Portis. But Miami and Milwaukee are kind of built pretty similarly in the way that they play. They have a very, very good defensive guards in Jrue Holiday and Kyle Lowry. They have big men who can get to the hoop in Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they have other players around. Now, the difference is that Adebayo is a major step down from Antetokounmpo, but obviously the Celtics didn't play Middleton, and Middleton, to me, is equivalent, close to Jimmy Butler in terms of talent, but Butler raises his level in the playoffs and is a different player. And the fact is that Butler's value to a team probably in the playoffs outweighs Middleton's significantly. Now, Tyler Herro to me is the X factor. Does Milwaukee have a guy like him? I'd say probably not. Milwaukee probably doesn't shoot the three ball quite as well as Miami does. And regardless of the stats, just the way you watch that team, they probably just don't shoot it quite as well. So I do think that Boston's going to have, a little bit more difficulty not focusing on one guy. But I think if Robert Williams plays, and again, you can't expect him to play 40 minutes tonight, you're going to have to work him in. So Grant Williams is going to have to play a big role again in the series. Same with Al Horford. And, I do think between those three guys, they'll do a pretty decent job on Adebayo. I'm interested to see how Boston lines up. But the way that they do, if Smart and Williams are healthy, man, that is tough to beat defensively. Smart, Brown, Tatum, Williams. I mean, those four just specifically line up so well defensively with how Miami wants to play and attack the ball. It's going to be a really interesting series to me, in the way that Miami is going to have to score. And to me, that is the difference. That's going to be the difference in the series. Is I think Miami is going to have a hard time scoring the basketball against this defensive Celtics team. Now, Joe, going back to John Ewing's talk about the tickets on BetMGM, um, just to give some clarity here, the Celtics open 165 and 81% of the handle is on Boston, but they're only getting 47% of the tickets, which is showing you the sharps agree with Boston. That number has moved 20 cents because Boston is the sharper side. Miami getting 53% of the tickets, but just 19% of the handle. So certainly interesting there. Look, as I said, I think if you're approaching the series the way I'm approaching it, I'm waiting on the results of the game tonight. I'm not going to put too much stock into the Celtics winning game one. I don't think it's a great spot. I think Miami wins, especially off some rest and maybe probably a little bit better health. But I'm not going to panic. I think that if the Celtics lose tonight, come back on the Celtics with a good series price. That would be the way I'm approaching that series.
Let's look at the wrangle for a second here. Tony Brothers, Zach Zarber, the lead official, even Malloy's on this crew too.
Yeah, three guys who did not help the Celtics whatsoever in the last series, by the way.
And they look at the home, like you would look at this, and for the person who doesn't really understand the wrangle, they'd look at this one and say, "Oh, this favors the Celtics based off the home splits." I don't agree with that one.
I don't either. I agree. I don't think this is a great spot for Boston with the refs, without the refs. I just think this is one you got to stay away from, and kind of look to avoid that.
I don't think there's any profit on this game at all. So like maybe it's the Heat side, the low number of the two. You know what I mean? Like maybe
I think if you get Miami minus 125, minus 130 on the money line, it looks like the money line's starting to move up. To me, that would be the way that I would approach it personally.
Yeah, and I don't like the total. Totals have gone. The unders have been hitting. Been very profitable. Even in the game seven, both game sevens, I think. By the way, so I'm not trying to say I predicted that Dallas was going to win. I thought the Suns would slow down, but like looking ahead here, like this Dallas situation, Golden State. I've kind of chalked up Golden State's going to the final, and maybe I need to. That's why I kind of need to think about it a little bit more. I mean, I liked Dallas last series. I really did. I don't know why I'm not giving them a shot at all right now, though.
We both did. You had Dallas plus 1.5 games. In game 7, I took Dallas money line. Dallas plus 6. I added some more plus 6.5. I mean, I was all over Dallas, and I told you I thought that was going to be a long series and that the Suns were frauds. I didn't believe in Chris Paul. I didn't believe in the Phoenix Suns. We happen to be right in this instance. But coming into this series, Joe, I don't feel similarly. Look, Golden State is going to be able to play a significantly different type of basketball than what Phoenix could. Dallas has to guard Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and the emergence of Jordan Poole has been huge. Otto Porter sounds like he's probable for game 1 tomorrow, and he has been a huge player for this run. Draymond Green, again, in my opinion, is still the best defensive player in the entire series. I think Golden State matches up so well, especially since Doncic, you love to attack going inside. It's not going to be easy with Klay, and it's not going to be easy on Draymond. And Klay did not have a great series, against Memphis defensively. But to me, this is going to be very different. It's key in on Luka. It's going to be very much like Boston versus Milwaukee. Key in on Luka. He's going to get his. Stop everyone else around him. And this doesn't feel like a great series for Jalen Brunson to me. Spencer Dinwiddie is going to have to play at an extremely high level. They're going to need to get a lot of high-level play from their role players, and I just don't think that this is going to be a series they're going to be able to do that. This to me, is going to be a runaway. I think the games will be competitive, but in terms of the series play, I think this is a runaway. Right now, I bet MGM, per John Ewing, your guy, just 19% of the tickets on Golden State yet 40% of the handle. The reason that the line has moved, Golden State open minus 250, minus 225 now. I'm looking here at at some sites that have Golden State minus 210, minus 200. First off, I'll be open and honest here. I'm not going to give it out because I think that's ridiculous. But I personally have played a good chunk on the Warriors series, the series price, just in general. I would be stunned if Dallas got by them. Dallas has had a great run and Luka has been fantastic, but I don't see it. So look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Warriors minus 1.5 games. We hit that last series, Joe. You and I double PP'd that. It was at minus 105. It was at minus 110 last series. Give me minus 105. Warriors minus 1.5 games. I do think that this is going to be a series that Dallas will put up fights and they'll probably win a game or two. But I think Golden State closes them out in 6.
So there's a lot of trends that favor Dallas when it comes to playing in Golden State and just against them in general. Again, a lot of these numbers could go back for years. They're all different teams, but the Dallas franchise over the last 3 years has played Golden State very tough, especially this season. The total, I'm kind of out on totals right now because they're generally the unders the way to go, and there could be these fluke games in there. But in this series, last 16 games, the overs hit 12 of 16. But they're not playoff games and different. You know what I mean? It's like,
again, as LeBron James famously said, game 1 is a feel-out game. I hate the fucking term, but he's not technically wrong. It's ridiculous.
But like, I don't know, playing on back-to-back days. Like I wonder if I think it favors the Heat. I mean, the way that Dallas crushed like the Suns, I bet you they're not tired. So I don't know if anybody, I think the Celtics are at a disadvantage tonight if any team is.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, that Dallas game is tomorrow, so that series does not start tonight.
Exactly.
They get an extra night, but yeah, I mean, they played half a game. Dallas played half a game. They were up 40. Yeah. What Phoenix had 27 and a half. I mean,
one last thing about the Celtics series, and maybe you can go over the look ahead numbers again, but I just want to tell people, like, this is what the Celtics wanted. Like, they wanted a game 7 at home if they had to against Milwaukee, and they took care of business. But this is what they wanted. They were the 2 seed, and if they had a chance to have to go on the road and beat Miami, this is what they wanted. So, like, I think the money scares me that it's 185 in some places, but this is kind of, I don't want to say careful what you wish for, but this Jimmy Butler series, I'm intrigued. There's a lot of storylines here. Like, I don't know, Tyler Herro is the 6th man of the year. My hatred for Victor Oladipo personally. Nothing wrong. The guy is a very nice guy from everything I've heard about him, but I just feel like there's a lot here. Spoelstra versus Ime in his first year, like Stevens, Pat Riley. There's still, I kind of like this. Like, and now you got to remember the players went out in Miami a couple of years ago after a terrible loss. And like there was that big story about they didn't show up to practice at a scheduled practice the next day. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of things in this series kind of come back to the Celtics. Like, here you are, this is what you wanted. Here you are, you took care of business. You are the favorite now. Like, just it's all setting up to be Celtics. And there's a man named Jimmy Butler in the way, and I just think it sets up really nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think both these series are going to be pretty good. I will say it is going to be frustrating that if the Celtics do get by, they will not have home court in the NBA championship. Golden State will. They were 2 games better in the regular season, and that is the way that they're determining it now. So home court will go. Home court advantage goes to the team with the better regular season record. So that is the case. Just looking ahead to some series prices, for potential finals matchups. Celtics Warriors. This is from the Superbook. Jeff Sherman posting it out there yesterday. Warriors minus 120 against the Celtics. I think that that's a fair price. I would make it minus 125, to be honest with you. But the Celtics have played that team extremely, extremely well throughout their past few years. And I do think that that is going to be a 6-7 game series minimum. If it's the Heat and the Warriors are minus 190, Heat plus 170. I would probably lay a fat bet on the Warriors in that situation.
I don't want that. I don't want that series. I don't think, Dan, I don't know if I'll watch. You know, I do love Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite players. I love Steph Curry.
Yeah. I'll watch. I'll definitely watch. I'll watch. Again, the Bruins are out. The NHL playoffs are interesting.
No, I know. I just the Heat do nothing for me. Nothing.
Yeah, they're not exactly the most entertaining team to watch. Okay. If the Mavericks do beat the Warriors and the Heat beat the Mavericks, the Heat will open around minus 120. And then if Dallas beats Golden State and Boston beats Miami, Boston will open minus 190. Dallas will be plus 170.
Absolutely. And I think the Jason Kidd story, we can say whatever we want about Jason Kidd personally, but man, he's found Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic and then Dinwiddie, dude. Like they made that trade. Like I'm wrong. I didn't think Dinwiddie also comes off the bench though, but I didn't think him and Luka could work out. You know what I mean? Like we watched it here. Tatum and Brown had their games, and now it's finally working.
Agreed.
Now you throw Jalen Brunson in the middle of it, and jeez. So I don't know, man. Like to me, I look at Dallas as kind of a boring team, but then I think about it and like, Dallas Boston, I think would be kind of interesting. You get the Luka Doncic effect.
Yeah, Luka versus Tatum. I mean, it would be interesting. Look, I think obviously this is biased, but I think 3 of the 4 teams would be an interesting finals team. I think Miami would be the team that's least interesting. But take a look at how the NBA is set up this year. I mean, last year they had Milwaukee, Phoenix in the finals. This year they have Boston, Miami, Dallas, and Golden State. And Dallas,
all great markets.
Maybe Dallas may not be a major sports market, but is a huge NBA market.
Exactly.
I mean, the NBA has to be absolutely ecstatic with the way
internationally though. Like they've been a team that's had international stars and for a long time, and that's probably that angle that you know what I mean. Like I just look at it like you got your Steve Kerr who's done this. Spoelstra's done it before, but here come the other. I mean, listen, right? I know people want to Zion in the conversation, but Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, it's there. It's the future. It's not LeBron anymore. It's not Chris Paul born. It's not the what we're used to. It's different. And dude, the ratings. Did you see the ratings for the Game 7?
I did. Yep, I did.
So the NBA is definitely better. By the way, tonight is the draft lottery in the NBA.
Yes, it will be. There will be some interest there.
I've never bet on this, but I want to bet on the number 1 pick. Like who we're betting on a fucking ping pong ball percentages, right?
Yeah, I don't know who offers that anymore. I know PointsBet used to offer that the year that Zion was the pick. I know that they put out a big thing out there because everyone thought the Knicks were going to end up with the number 1 pick. If you remember that, I don't know who's doing it right now. I got to be honest with you, the NBA draft right now is not such a major. It's not a major draw just because I think the NBA playoffs have been so much better than this, than the last few years, and they have such major teams in them. It's not a big draw. I mean, right now I'm looking at, the availability here, and it's pretty much just the number 1 pick. So that's pretty much where we're stuck. It's pretty much just number 1 pick right now in the NBA draft. Joe, let's move over to the NHL for a few minutes here quickly, just because the games do start tonight. And we can start with the opening games here.
You got Tampa Bay. You got Tampa Bay and Florida. Florida's minus 160 just tonight. The first thing that stood out to me is the total at 6.5.
Yeah, so high total. Not a surprise to me. These two teams are high scoring teams. This is probably going to be right around the total the entire series. Wouldn't be a shock. Florida opened minus 150, minus 155 on the series price. That is now up to minus 165. If you look at BetMGM, 53% of the bet, 88% of the handle on Florida, 47% of the bet, just 12% of the handle on Tampa. In terms of the odds there. Look, Florida's the sharp side. There is no doubt about it that Florida's the sharp side. I did not believe that Tampa would get by Toronto. I thought Toronto was just too talented, even with all their shit, that they were just too talented and they would figure it out, but they did not. And that, it is what it is. They were not able to figure it out. And, Tampa was able to win.
The all new Gillette labs with exfoliate.
There we go. Classic Joe.
I
Classic
don't even
Joe.
know what happened.
But I'll tell you this: the Panthers, to me, are a very good series price. A very
I see
good bet.
I see 170, Dan. Sorry to go off there.
Yeah, so most places still minus 160. You're definitely going to get a range between minus 155 and minus 170. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Look, right now, Florida minus one game in the series is minus 115. So to me, that's going to be my bet on the series. So there you go. Florida minus one game, which basically means if they win in 7, it's a push. They lose the series, it's a loss. If they win in 6, it's a win. Win in 6 or less, it's a win. So yeah, to me, that's my bet on the series. I really think that Florida is significantly better than Tampa. I don't want to lay the minus 1.5 just because I'm being a little bitch. I'd rather not deal with the extra half there, and I know that people will probably say, well, you're better off laying the 1.5, and fully I agree. But I am going to play it a little bit safe. And Tampa still, they're just a team that's burned me in the playoffs year in, year out. If I were you, probably Florida minus 1.5 games is the way to go. Honestly, projecting this, I have Florida winning in 5 or 6. I don't think this Tampa team is good. They're now out without one of their best players, Braden Point, who's hurt. Vasilevsky was a disaster early on in the Toronto series. He finally pulled it together. Florida struggled, though, at times, and Florida struggled with Washington, but they were able to pull it out, and I still think this Florida team is significantly more talented than this Tampa team. Again, a lot of tired legs there. So to me, Panthers minus one game in the series, minus 115. Yeah, that is going to be my bet in the series for this one. Joe, do you have anything on this?
So I want to take the under in game 1, but I look back, these two teams, they put up goals. Just when they play in Florida, like I don't know what it is about at the Florida Panthers. Over's gone over 10 of 10 of their last 15. They've had over meetings this year. I just feel like though you got really good goalies here. You know what, Dan? Let's scare money makes no money. Give me under 6.5 game 1 tonight.
Okay. There you go. Under 6.5 tonight.
Kind of fading the trend there.
Yeah, under 6.5 goals is plus 110. Plus 110 in the so there you go.
I'll take it. And then the other series, real quick. So the Blues made it, and Colorado should be here. We know about their history. They're heavy favorites tonight to win, but have you seen their series price of minus 400?
Yeah, look, it's a little high for me. I really thought Colorado might struggle a little bit with Nashville, and they blew right through them. So, it's interesting. You take a look at the prices on the splits here. Colorado minus 2.5 games, so essentially to win 3 games, win 4 games to 1, essentially, is plus 130. Minus two games for Colorado is minus 115. So basically what they're telling you is they think Colorado in essentially 6 games.
We lost Dan, everybody. I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm sure he'll jump back into the Dan is back.
Sorry about that. I must have hit a button. Yeah. So sorry, my apologies. But what I was saying was the Blues and Colorado series price Colorado -2, -110. So -2 games, -110. So basically, what they're saying is they expect Colorado to win in 6, which is interesting. St. Louis +2.5 games, -170. They do think that St. Louis is going to put up a legitimate fight in this series. I really don't know what to make of this. I was surprised St. Louis got by Minnesota, to be honest with you. I thought early on in that series it was dominated by Minnesota, and this team is significantly better. So, without obviously not much of a surprise. So yeah, look, I don't see this one. I don't see this one going further than 6, but at the same time, this is going to be another series that I'm probably not going to touch. Probably going to stay away from in terms of betting the series, length, price. I just don't feel that there's a significant edge on anything here.
Colorado is such a square play here. I actually would love to fade it, like, because they do have to prove it. Like, that's one thing with that team. They've been in the picture every year. They get bounced last year. This year, they finally advanced. Like, the Blues are defending champion. I know they're not the same team that they were. They did just beat Minnesota, like you said. I don't know if I would touch the plus 300, but that plus 1.5 might not be a bad little angle there.
Yeah, I'm passing on the. I'm passing on everything.
What about the Rangers and Hurricanes? Any love for the Rangers of plus 160 with the best goalie?
Yeah, let's talk about that. The Rangers open plus 165. They're getting 54% of the bet, 61% of the handle, so nothing major. Carolina 46% of the bet, 39% of the handle. Again, these are brought to you by BetMGM. Thanks to John Ewing. Just to give you an idea. So look, no real sharp side in this one. I have seen the Rangers series price up to plus 195. Ace PPH has Rangers plus 195. I have not seen a game total on this one yet. I've not seen an over under, but if there is an over under 5.5, I'll probably be interested in looking into the number. Maybe if it's under minus 180 ish, I'll probably end up playing some. I think Carolina wins tonight, which is again New York coming off an overtime, an emotional victory, and then playing a couple days later. Carolina, yep, they won a game 7, but it wasn't all that close. Unfortunately, didn't feel like it. And, last few minutes, I guess, were a scramble. But to be honest, it didn't feel all that close. And I just think that this is going to be – I think New York is going to push Carolina. I think they have a major goaltending advantage. And I think that New York is also a little bit more physical than Boston, and I think they'll probably be a little bit more difficult in the series. I still expect Carolina to win, but New York to me is going to be interesting. I might take either plus 2.5 games in the series or plus 2 games in the series or over 5.5 games in the series. I'm going to take a look at the prices and make my determination then, but I'll probably be on the Rangers in some sort of fashion. I think Carolina's good. I think New York is probably going to drop the first game, which is going to be good for betting the situation. But I just think that, Carolina at home is disgusting. And, beating them in Raleigh is going to be very difficult for the Rangers. But I think that they can take one. I think the series goes 6 or 7. I think Carolina wins. But I do not think this is going to be an easy series for Carolina. They're not going to breeze by New York. New York struggled with Pittsburgh. I get it. But this is a good New York Rangers team. They're still a good team. So,
I kind of like the Rangers here. They just stopped a high-powered offensive team. They battled in overtime. Like that was a tough series, man. And I don't know. I just feel like Carolina's been here before, where I don't know. Maybe it will come down to coaching for me in this one. There were times where I thought Brindamore got out coached against Cassidy, and then obviously the series flips to Carolina and the Bruins could do nothing here. I don't know. I'm circling that. I want to see what happens in game 1. Let's see what happens. Okay. And again, Carolina at home. It's kind of hard. So if you look at them tonight, do you fade it? Like, dude, I don't know. Maybe there is something about playing there. I mean, but my whole thing though is, and again, this game's tomorrow. But looking at it tomorrow, like 160, 170, that's too much for me.
It feels a little juicy. I think I'd rather wait for a live line on Carolina than play that, and I'd rather do that than playing the puck line as well. So that that would be again personally the way that I would be approaching it is patience with that series. Very similar to Boston, trying to be patient about everything and trying to be realistic about where you expect the series to go. I still think that series is going to go 6. I really do. I think that it's going to be very, very difficult for. I think it's going to be very difficult for Carolina still. Again, Carolina looked like an unbelievable team in the first 2 games of the series against Boston, and then on the road reverted to a team that looked like they had no idea what they were doing. And again, I don't want to hammer them because they won the series, but that is a problem if you can't play and travel. And they won 0 games on the road last series, 0-3 on the road. So, how great do you really feel about, how good do you really feel about them winning on the road? Against a superior goalie and maybe most likely a superior team? I don't feel great. I personally don't feel great about it. So that's the way I would kind of look at it and say, I think Carolina's good. I think they win the series, but I think this is going to be very close. And again, you got to show me that you can win on the road if you want me to back you in certain situations. And as of right now, they have not done that. So I'm not going to be backing them. I'm not going to be backing them in terms of the series or series price. I'll probably be looking on the Rangers in some sort of fashion.
All right, and then Edmonton goes to Calgary. I'll tell you this right now. Edmonton struggled in Calgary. So that's why I think they're a high line today on the road. Calgary's Edmonton hasn't played 1-4 their last 5 meetings over the last year. So I like what Edmonton has. When I watch Calgary, they kind of bore me a little bit. I don't know if it's because they're on late and whatever. But I feel like I think they're going to struggle in Calgary is what I'm trying to say, but I kind of like them. Like if it was a +1.5, I feel like this is a game this series that could go 7, but it's going to come down to Calgary at home, and I think they have the advantage there.
Yeah, I do not disagree. I do not disagree with you and your kind of thought process there. I do think that this is going to be I think this is going to be a very, very, very interesting series. I have to be honest with you. I don't feel great about placing a wager on the series just in general. I don't feel that this is going to be a game where I can get a major edge on a side. I feel the price is pretty fair. So to be honest with you, I'm passing on the price. I'm passing on kind of my thoughts there. I just think that this is a series to me. While it's going to be very impressive if either of these teams win, because I think it's going to be really difficult for them. These are both teams that are choking the playoffs, so one of them has to win. I just think that again, Connor McDavid could be the guy who takes over a series. We didn't see it last series where McDavid took over a series, and we'll see. Again, this is going to be the series. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, this is the series I'm avoiding the most. I really have no real true edge on this one, and probably won't be betting it.
All right, Dan. One last one before we go. The PGA Championship starts Thursday.
Yep.
The only bet that I care about: will Tiger Woods miss the cut? +115.
Yeah. Look, I'm not betting it. I'm not betting it. I have no interest in touching the price, but I do think that this is going to be a very heavily bet. I think there's going to be eventually one of these cuts Tiger's going to miss. Like it's going to happen. Tiger's going to miss one of these cuts. We'll see.
I think it's worth it, right? No juice. Just I again, I know people like him being like involved, but
look,
I agree. He's not going to make every golf match. You know what I mean?
I don't want to pretend to know. I don't want to pretend to know. How Tiger's going to be. I'm not a golf guy. You know me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know what I'm doing and who to bet on, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a golf guy. But what I do know is I just don't. I don't see Tiger doing well right now. His over under finishing is 52nd and a half. So in that case, he would be close to missing the cut. Simple as that. Really, nothing further than that. But I'm gonna pass.
All right, cool. Well, anything else, Dan? I know you got any baseball stuff today?
I gave out some points.
Oh yeah, you gave out a few things so people can check that out. For those locally here, the Red Sox minus 120 tonight with Nathan Eovaldi on the mound. So the Sox at minus money. Eovaldi's been okay. And the over-under is 8.5. And the first 5 is the way that I would say to bet this one, if you like it a side or if you like a total. What else? And you posted some WNBA as well?
Yeah, posted some WNBA. That'll be going on tonight. We'll continue to post WNBA throughout the week. But yeah, let's nothing else. I think we can wrap up with a 45-minute pod here. Yeah. I think
and right now, Celtics Heat. They went up to 130, like you said, Dan. 130 at DraftKings, total 204. Still at -2. I think Miami might be the right side for game 1, and then see how everything resets.
Yep. No, that sounds good. And Saturday we will discuss. I think do we have the Preakness this Saturday? Is that the case?
Yes. I'm going back to the well.
Okay.
With my Derby pick.
Okay.
Who finished second? Who did play second? Didn't lose.
By the way, I did find some odds on the draft lottery tonight. Who you like for the draft lottery, Joe?
It should be Houston. It should be. It's probably going to be Orlando or some other city.
Orlando, Detroit, Houston, Oklahoma City, all 5-1.
All right. Is there any Knicks under 10? I'm going to play it if there is.
Knicks to win there's Knicks to win the first pick is 30-1.
No. You know what, though? I bet you they have a better chance of getting the number 1 pick than they do like the number 5 pick. That's what's crazy about the NBA. It's nuts how like everyone has a shot at the number 1 pick.
Yes, because it's all rigged.
I think Houston should get it, but it's that damn ping pong ball.
Yeah,
like Detroit could go back to back.
Ping pong ball, Joe. The ping pong ball.
I know.
It's fucking rigged. It's not a ping pong ball.
It's stupid.
It's not a ping pong ball. It's rigged.
I watched that damn behind the 30-30 on it. I don't believe it's rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged. It's absolutely rigged.
So now we got to find out who it's rigged for. Detroit? Who's getting a new stadium? Anybody?
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, Joe. It's time for me to log off.
I'm going to start looking into which franchise could benefit from getting the number 1 pick. I think it's Houston, but we'll see how it goes. All right, that's it for us, everybody. We'll talk to you Thursday morning, and we're back on Saturday. And this has been another edition of the Over Under Podcast.
Who you got?